dear fellow suicide loss survivor, if everybody seems to have advice about how you should heal, but it all leaves you more overwhelmed than healing, then this message is for you. Welcome. I'm so honored you're here with me today, because today we normalize advice overload. A lot of people after suicide loss receive advice by well-intending people, right? Doesn't mean they don't care. Might be you need a support group. You need to move forward. You need to let go. You need to talk about it more. You need to not talk about it as much. You need to keep busy all the time, right? You need to relax more, right? So the advice is plenty, but sometimes we just feel more overwhelmed, and we feel like maybe we're just doing healing wrong. So let's normalize that, right? Because it is a survival response that makes complete sense to feel overwhelmed by any type of advice, really. Because let's face it, just choosing what to eat, choosing where to go, choosing the smallest basic details about our lives has become so challenging, right? So if you pile on a bunch of advice on top of that, of course we're going to be even more overwhelmed and frustrated because we don't know what to do, or we don't know if what we're doing is even helpful or right or good. So when that comes on, right, use your discernment filter, right? If somebody says, for example, you need to stop talking about it so much, you're always talking about it, right? That's happened to me. And it's incredibly frustrating because I know what's best for my healing at that point in time, right? So I use my discernment filter, right? First I became aware. What am I feeling right now when I'm receiving this advice, right? The person means well, cares about me. But what am I feeling right now that tells me that, okay, I don't have to listen to that if it doesn't feel aligned? For example, it could be frustration, it could be overwhelm, it could be pressure to be different, to do healing differently, right? According to what they think I need, right? It's important to start trusting what we think we need. So the discernment filter might say to a comment like that or a suggestion like that, might say, well, okay, I see that perhaps this is not the right person to share with. Okay, so maybe I'm going to share more with my soul angel or angels. Maybe I'm going to, maybe join a support group of survivors healing together, right? There's all kinds of options that maybe we could actually take this advice, into consideration in different ways, right? And we don't have to make a decision right away. Right? If the person says, for example, you need to stop being so busy all the time, or you need to be more busy all the time. Okay, I hear you. What does that make me feel? Well, it makes me feel like maybe I'm doing healing wrong. Maybe I'm not pacing my rhythms the right way. So the discernment filter says, okay, so is that actually helpful for me? Do I need to be less busy or more busy, or, right? How does that feel? And also, doesn't mean that when we try something and experiment with something new, that it has to be a final decision. For example, if somebody says, start practicing, breath work, or it's gonna heal you, it's gonna be helpful. Doesn't mean that you have to keep practicing it every day and you're stuck with that. Doesn't mean you have to do the whole thing either. You can do 2 minutes, see how your nervous system responds, and then make a helpful next step decision, right? And when we use a discernment filter to always say, okay, is this advice relevant to me? Is this in alignment with how I feel right now? Right? Do I think that that's actually my most helpful path, or not at all? When we use that discernment filter over and over again, it helps us set certain boundaries, right? So for example, if somebody keeps telling you, well, you have to stop talking about it. You're always talking about it. So if you focus on something else, you'll just forget, move forward, right? Maybe that's happened to you too. So it's helpful to have the discernment filter instead of just blindly following the advice, because then you can start setting boundaries, right? With certain people or with yourself. And boundaries are helpful. They're not stringent rules, right? They can be flexible, but they're very helpful because they give our healing space, right? It's okay to pause and create a boundary and not even be sure about what to do next. That's okay, right? That's all because you're using discernment filter and really seeing, is what the guru telling me online truly helpful for me? Am I doing this wrong because I'm like that? Right? Use that discernment filter every single time somebody tries to offer advice. And that's how you're going to actually come to know a lot more about what you truly need. Right? Because what you might need is completely different from somebody else. Completely. Might be the same, might be different. Right? But don't assume. Don't assume that your healing path is the same as anybody else's. So because something worked for somebody, or because they think it's great advice because it worked for them, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Doesn't mean you can't try it, right? But again, use that discernment filter to ask questions. How does it make me feel when I receive this advice? Is that actually in alignment with my healing, right? And then take a decision based on that. So my dear fellow suicide loss survivor, I say this with all my heart. Please take good care of yourself. And of course, may you be filled with music and heal.